What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I got a quick project for you. So I got a little something in this box we'll go over in just a second. But the other thing I have here is an encoder from a 4-player Ninja Turtles Arcade1up cabinet. So let's see what's in the box, and I'll tell you what we got in store for us today. So this subject actually came up on one of my live streams, so I thought I would give it a shot. Went to the wonderful wonderland of eBay, and I found a brand new Final Fight control panel with PCB. This is pretty awesome. The guy had several of them. I don't know how, I don't know why, didn't ask a lot of questions, but I picked this thing up for about 75 bucks. So I thought, hey, this would be a great way to see if we could come up with a plug-and-play solution for making your 4-player Ninja Turtles cabinet a 2-player Ninja Turtles cabinet. Well, this really came up in regards to space. If you're really trying to jam your home arcade full of arcade machines, that 4-player machine takes up a lot of space. So if you could slim that up and and give yourself a little more space there, that would be ideal. Now, it almost seems a shame to modify this this control panel in any way, shape, or form. But don't worry, whatever we do on this, we can easily undo. We're not going to do any cutting. This is just a fitment test to see if this will actually work. Alright, so here we have a perfect example of a first-generation ribbon connector and the third-generation connection. You see there's a huge difference, so we're going to have to swap out this encoder board if we want to make this work on our TMNT cabinet. So let's go ahead and take out the 7 screws that hold this cover on. You know, I think this is a nice touch, having this cover on the bottom to keep all that wiring sort of contained, making this sort of a standalone unit. Now, once we get this cover out of the way, we can see, hopefully we're going to be able to just swap these encoder boards without any kind of modification. Sure enough, well, the bolt holes line up, so that is a win for sure. So let's go ahead and remove the 2 screws that hold the encoder board in place. We're going to remove some of these wire ties, get these zip ties out of the way. And another great thing to notice is that these connectors are the same between the 1st and 3rd gen, so this is going to just plug right in. So let's go ahead and disconnect all the wires from the stock Gen 1 encoder and get started. So we take the 2 screws and just screw this in place of the original encoder. So far, so good. And now we have a few choices to make. And this is where the TMNT cab is going to differ from other 4-player cabs. We have to select the players we want. So player 1 start button is going to go to the player 1 that you select. Who do you want player 1 to be? In my case, I'm going to go with Leonardo. So Leonardo is player 1, and then Raphael is actually player 4 on this board. We're going to make him player 2. I think that these 2 characters didn't get a lot of love because they're kind of stuck out on the corners there of the 4-player cabs. Michelangelo and Donatello definitely got most of the playtime, at least in my house, because they're sort of centered up. And when you're playing by yourself, you want to sort of stand in front of the cabinet. So these 2 characters don't get all the attention they deserve. And they're actually my 2 favorite out of the, well, I guess it's the top 2 out of the 4. But once you decide which player 1 is going to be player 1 and player 2 is going to be player 2, then you just have to really just plug everything in. Now, luckily, the joysticks are not going to be different. Now, that was one thing I was kind of concerned about. Also, we have the power wire. It's going to be the same connection here. So, and I know it's difficult to see some of this labeling. You can see some of the labels on the bottom, but the labels are also on the top part of the encoder as well. So it's fairly easy, fairly straightforward plugging all this in. Now, this is going to be the volume control. Same location there. So starting right to left, you have power, volume, and then you're going to have player 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, go ahead and continue making all your wiring connections, and make sure that when you take it apart from your stock location, from their stock location, make sure that you take note of which one is up and down and which one is left and right. It's easy to get those connections confused, and if you get those wrong, you're going to have to take it all apart and make that change. Okay, now it's time to put everything back together. Now, it's also important to note that we're not going to connect the speaker because the 3rd generation cabs have the speakers built into the panel that's above the marquee. So you can just leave that connection loose. And let's go ahead and throw some ball tops on this for now. And I had a couple of these laying around, so why not? Gonna help us keep these characters straight. All right, back in the arcade, let's go ahead and take this 4-player monstrosity out of the way. Now let's go ahead and put in our modified Final Fight control panel and see what we got. We'll just make this connection on the back. We're going to go ahead and just mock this up in place. I'm not going to bolt this down just yet. All right, the moment of truth. And we have power. So we verified the power switch works. That's good. All right, let's check out the volume control now. This is going to be a maintained switch. This is not going to be a momentary switch. So you're going to have to click that to the right or the left, and then bring it back to center for the volume to sort of stop at the level that you select. All right, so far left and right seem to work fine. Attack button is working correctly. That's the button you want to press for the game selection. Alright, let's get through this and let's see who player 1 and player 2 really are. Alright, there's Leo. And there's Raph. Now it's not all sunshine and roses. You're going to see that you're going to have to remake this panel here, which we've gone over on the channel, so it's a pretty simple fix. But it is a pretty massive difference, and this is done to accommodate the thickness of the 4-player control panel. So that's an obvious thing. One thing that wasn't so obvious is this giant gap between the the control panel and the actual monitor itself. I knew there was an angular difference between 1st gen and 3rd gen, but I didn't realize there was such a difference there. You can see the extra length here. But using a 3rd generation 2-player control panel, you see that gap is pretty much eliminated. So maybe the Final Fight isn't the best way to go, the 1st gen. Find you a 3rd generation, and then all you have to do is remake this panel here, and you'll be well, you'll be set. Also, those connections are the same on each control panel. Now, if we could just do something about that Midway Legacy control panel. Oh, dear Lord, don't get me started. Alright, so there you go. I suggest trying to find a 3rd generation 2-player control panel if you're going to do this mod. The 1st gen is going to probably give you more problems than they're worth. But this was kind of a fun one. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. You'll have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.